Host, am I on yet?
Good morning, Annette. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Good morning. I'm Annette McGrath. I'm here to help you get your day energized and started. Let you do a few stretches from the wonderful world of fitness and the ancient system of yoga. So if you have a mat, that's grand. If you don't, you're just going to be moving in a floor space about equivalent to a mat. Please tune in, listen to your bodies, and respect your own range of motion. You can adapt what I'm doing. You can sit things out. Just see how it feels today. Let's begin seated in easy cross leg or good old crisscross applesauce. We're going to draw up really nice and tall from the spine to give our lungs room to breathe. Palms down on the knees, leaning forward towards your right knee, allowing the body to swoop toward the left, and then the shoulders dropping back. Just a gentle circling motion. You can also add a little bit more motion, rocking on the sits bones of the pelvis. Little pointy bones that you feel when you're sitting on the ground. And then pausing in the forward motion and reversing. This begins to warm up the hips and the low back. Check in and see how they're doing this morning. Pausing in the middle, coming up nice and tall. Your left hand going onto your right knee, a little peek over the shoulder. Nice and easy, moving through the center. Other side. Now we're gently flowing from side to side, warming up the mid-back. Trying to move, if we can, with the ribs first, allowing the shoulders to follow along. Evening that out, so you've done the same number, both sides, meeting in the middle, dropping the chin toward the chest, allowing the weight of the cranium to stretch the back of the neck, then gently rolling the chin from shoulder to shoulder, drawing a little smiley face, stretching out the back of the neck, checking out if maybe one side's tighter than the other, not judging it, just noticing it, meeting in the middle, lifting the chin back up to center, turning to gaze over your right shoulder, checking out the range of motion of the neck, turning to gaze over the other shoulder, and then gently flowing through the center. Coming back, meeting in the middle. Now we're waking up our wrist because we will be using some downward facing postures from yoga if you want to check those out. Raising your left hand, stop sign, or if you're a Miss Diana Ross fan, stop in the name of love. Palm forward, taking the opposite hand, pushing the fingers back and feeling as if you're sending energy through the base of the palm. This stretches the underside of the forearm and the wrist. This is a really good gift to give yourself if you're using a computer or a phone a lot. And it also prepares the joints for the work of the downward postures in yoga. Now fingers down, pressing the back of the hand bone, still thinking about sending energy out through the wrist. Now stretching the top of the forearm. And releasing, shake it on out, other hand, stop sign. Pulling the fingers back, pushing through the heel of the hand. And releasing, fingers down, pressing the back of the hand. Noticing if there are any differences between the arms. Releasing, shake it on out. Palms facing out, drawing circles. You should feel really good to your wrist. Palms facing in, drawing circles. And now fingers really wide, squeeze the Play-Doh. When we get into these downward postures, it's really helpful if your fingers are very wide. I'll just show you real quick. So whether we're in an all fours or planking up into a down dog, which we'll eventually do, you have a wider base of support with these starfish fingers. And you can really press into the palms. Let's come to standing and start warming up the big muscles, getting some blood flowing. We'll begin standing in joint alignment. So the center of the hip, center of the knee, and the center of the ankle. This is a really important principle in all our standing postures. Beautiful. Now, throughout this practice, you're pretty much going to face me. I may rotate and face in different directions, but you'll see things better if you just keep facing teacher. So I'm going to turn for you to see. I'm still in that alignment we began in. We're going to sit into a yoga posture called chair. Begin in mountain, really tall, reaching down with the fingers, up with the crown of the head, beautiful posture. Circle sweeping those arms wide. Reaching up with the sternum. This is a super gentle back bend. And now arms sweeping wide, coming down, reverse swan dive, and my hips are sitting back as if there's a chair behind me, and my hands meeting at heart center. Pushing into the feet, rising up. This is a chair flow. This is a nice, gentle warm-up, but it hits all the joints, all the major joints of the body. It gets us ready to do more vigorous work. In yoga, we usually are going to time our breath to our movement. It makes it more efficient, and it also is very calming to the mind. The easiest way to remember most yoga breathing is that when your belly is crumpled, like it is now, that's a perfect time to exhale. And when the body is stretched out, perfect time to inhale. So we can exhale down and inhale up. Should start really feeling some blood flow in the quads here. The front of the thigh, maybe in the hips and the hamstrings as well. And we're meeting in chair really briefly, checking it out. Chair is also a really good strengthening pose. Releasing to a gentle forward fold, legs straightening, hips reaching up. Now we're going to stretch as much as is comfortable. We're still really early in our warm-up. We might even be supporting on the thighs with the palms. Allowing the head to dangle and the shoulders to relax. Bending the knees slightly to release. Sweeping up. And meeting in mountain. Let's show the shoulder joints a little more love and show them how to build a little more heat. So we're stepping back with the right foot. This is a pyramid stance with the feet. We're back stroking with the same side arm, the right arm. So giving it some energy up and allowing it to fall back. This really is a great way to build heat in the shoulder. Of course, if we've had any shoulder injuries, we're not going to go this vigorous. So if anyone is taking care of their shoulders today, they need some TLC, the modification would be a gentle roll. And see how that feels. So we can do just shoulder rolls, or we can do these big sweeping motions. Pausing at the bottom, now sweeping forward, like a forward crawl in swimming. And the alternative movement here for warming up the shoulder joint would be just rolling. Beautiful. Whichever one we've chosen. We're meeting in the middle, joining the feet together, and now stepping back with the left foot, always working both sides of the body as evenly as we can. Checking out the backstroke. It may be that one side of the body is fine with a big backstroke, but the other side needs a simple shoulder roll. That's okay. Tuning in, listening to what's going on today. Every day is a little bit different. Meeting with hands at the bottom and now sweeping forward. Of course, alternative to simply roll the shoulder here if that feels better today. Meeting with hands at the bottom, joining feet, I'll turn to face. Now we're just adding some rotation, allowing the arms to dangle, moving from the ribs. The hips are pretty still, but they're going to shift a little. This continues to build heat in the mid-back and around the ribs here. This is something probably all of us did as kids when we were bored, but it's also a good warm-up. Wonderful. One more big stretch to stretch out the chest and the upper back and start heating up the low back. This is called a mountain to volcano flow. So mountain, once more, is our most basic standing posture. We want a very long spine, reaching all the way up through the crown of the head. Down, down, down with the fingers, which also stretches the shoulders. Mountain is one of those poses that looks like nothing, but is a lot. There's a lot going on, especially if we're remembering to press into our feet and really activate the legs. Maybe even feeling the quadriceps lifting up toward the hips. So this is mountain. We'll be stepping out to volcano. I'll demo that the first time, and then feel free to join in. So the arms are going to sweep up. I step out with the left foot, reaching up, up, up with the chest. And then back into mountain. Beautiful. So we're going to exhale out into volcano and inhale to mountain. Out and in. Out. Should feel a big stretch in the chest muscles. If we have to spend much time at all on the computer, chest muscles tend to get very tight and weak. So this shows them a little love, and that also helps with posture and efficiency of movement. One more time, out and in. Let's try a little the other way. Stepping out and in. Out and in. Inhale up. Exhale down if that feels good. Mostly just keep it moving. Out and in. Now we're ready to begin with some yoga today. I'm going to move to the top of my mat, which is the short side. You're going to stay right where you are, facing me. Beginning in mountain. Circle sweeping up. We do this in our warm-up. Inhale. Exhaling into forward fold. We might be able to go a little further down or swan diving. And now allowing the back to curve. Fingertips might be on the mat, palms might be on the mat. Or if we're super tight through these hamstrings, the back of the thighs might be considerably higher, and that's okay. Show the back some loving support by contracting the abdominal muscles to help it out. Maybe adding extra support with palms on shins or palms on thighs. Make this work for you. Whatever allows the shoulders to relax forward and the head to dangle. So to see how relaxed that upper spine is, we can shake the head no. And shake the head yes. This is also a good traction stretch for the neck. Bending our knees as we require now. Any amount's fine. Palms to the mat. Remember the starfish fingers we talked about? Directly under the shoulders. So my wrist, elbow, and shoulder are in alignment. That protects the joints and uses them to their best advantage. Right foot back, left foot back, meeting it in plank. So this is a high plank. This is a great strength builder. We don't have to stay here super long, exhaling into down dog or an inverted V. Treading those heels, pressing first one and then the other toward the mat. Feeling a stretch on the back line of the body. Stretching the backs of the calves, hamstrings, Achilles tendon. Feeling the strength of our abdominal muscles and our low backs, keeping those hips up. And now lowering knees to the mat, knees directly under hips. Center of the knee, center of the hip. Drawing the hands back under. So now those are in good alignment. We're going to move into cat-cow flow now. Cat-cow moves the entire spine and also activates the abdominal muscles. It allows us to really tune into our breathing, which is always important both for energizing and calming the body. So we begin in a neutral spine. For most people, it's going to feel good to have this direct stack, like we do in most of yoga. If we have a broader shoulder girdle, and this is very common, in particular with men, it might feel better to have the hands this time just a little wider. So from neutral spine to move into cat pose, we exhale, squeeze the navel in, tailbone naturally moves down, pressing up through the shoulder blades, allowing the head to drop down toward the insides of the upper arms. Exhaling, the belly softens and drops toward the ground. As it drops, the tailbone very naturally moves more upward. We're lifting up through the chest. This is the cow portion. Exhaling into cat. Really feeling the movement of the entire spine. From the tip of the tailbone to the top of the cervical spine of the neck. Moving at our own pace, one breath, one motion. Evening that out and meeting in neutral spine. Spinal balance. This is a really excellent strengthener for the core. The spine itself is going to stay neutral now. The gaze is down, reaching out with the right hand and back with the left foot. Trying to stay as still as possible on the supporting hip and switching sides. Just checking out how this feels today. This is a core strength move. And having good core strength is important to efficiency and stability of all motion of the body. Just checking it out, flowing at our own pace. Now the faster we go, of course, the more heat we build. The slower we go, if we're pausing, longer amounts of time in extension, that's more strength oriented. So tune into what you want to feel right now. Pressing the edges of your strength, or continuing to build heat in the body. Meeting in the center. From here, we're moving back into our plank position. Right foot back, left foot back. This flow is called a half moon series. I believe it's primarily done in Yoga Fit, which is my teacher training organization. It's an alternative to sun salutation, slightly less stressful on the body, but does build strength, range of motion. So let's check this out. You may never have seen this one before. We're moving into supported plank. So the spine stays in the same shape, and the knees drop toward the mat, the feet flatten, tops of the feet on the mat. So now I'm still in plank. We're still in plank. That's a slightly different position. Exhaling, hips back. This is moving into child's pose, our basic prone rest posture in yoga. Hips toward heels. More important that the hips go down than that the head go down. We're sending our focus to the hips. Now shifting forward. Back into our half moon, we're lowering. Feeling the strength of our arms and then allowing the hips to drop, keeping the chest up, cobra pose, stretching the back and the front line of the body. Exhaling, pushing against the mat, straightening the spine. We're back in supported plank. Exhaling to child's pose. Inhaling, supported plank. Lowering, elbows tight to the body, hips to the mat. Long stretch in the front line of the body. Pushing into the mat, long spine. Exhaling once more into child's pose. Inhaling forward, returning to all fours. Right foot back, left foot meets it in plank. Exhaling to down dog. Back to our inverted V. We might be treading our heels, or the back line of the body might be warmed up enough that both heels can be pressing down. Returning to the top of the mat, we're bending our knees, gazing forward and tippy-toe toward the hands, meeting in forward fold. Bending the knees, circle sweeping wide, chin to back bend. Meeting in mountain. Check out warrior flow, one of the classic flows from yoga. From our mountain pose, we're pulling down with those fingers, stretching out our shoulders, strengthening our spine. We're going to enter this today from a forward fold. Circle sweeping up, exhaling down. It's possible to enter warrior from standing, from mountain. You can enter it from forward fold, because this gives us a little more time to stretch out the backs of the legs These take a beating when we do a lot of sitting, as is going to be done in the conference today. Waterfalls are nice. From here, we're stepping back with the right foot. I'll be going into a short stance warrior one, maybe a little shorter than you've seen before. Right foot reaches back directly from the hip. My hip point and my heel are in alignment. That foot is at about a 45-degree angle. I may rise straight up, or it's possible also to support on the thigh to come to standing, whichever one feels good today. Arms sweeping overhead, goalpost arms. So they're right below my ears, reaching, reaching, reaching through the fingertips, pressing into the heels of both feet, checking out. Take a little peek. That knee in the front should be stacked right over that ankle. Maximum strength and efficiency, using the joints of the body as they were meant to be used. For strength, we would stay here for 3 to 5 long, slow breaths. We'll move a little faster than that today. Our focus is more on energy. Warrior two, that back foot stepping back and the turning out to now a 90-degree angle. Backstroke that arm. We did some backstrokes earlier, opening the chest, gazing forward over that front hand. So there should be a line across the chest from fingertip to fingertip. Peek at that front knee. It loves to wander out of position as we change poses. We want to protect those joints. Warrior two. This is also a chest opener, a leg strengthener. Yoga is a great system for stretching and strengthening, as well as releasing tension and stress. Lowering the back hand to the back thigh, front hand moves overhead, the gaze gently follows. So looking with the eyes rather than the nose. We're not wanting to crank and crunch the back of the neck, ever. If we want a little more challenge, that back hand might tuck behind. A little more intensity. Triangle pose. If we opted to tuck the back hand, we're unwinding it. Straightening the front leg. Reaching, 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 reaching with that front hand as it goes down toward the front foot. And the back hand whoop, comes up overhead. So again, that lovely straight line from fingertip to fingertip. Triangle pose. The legs are as straight as they can be without stress. We don't lock the knees. They don't like that. From triangle pose, we're moving into pyramid pose. High hand low. The torso is turning to face that front foot. The back foot spins on its heels, so now both sets of toes are facing forward. In a class, you might have yoga blocks here to help support the posture, especially with tight hamstrings. We're flying without extra equipment today, so we adapt as best we can. And sometimes it feels better to bend that knee a little and bring the back foot in just a bit. You might experiment, see how that feels today. Sometimes the intensity of pyramid pose, it's not possible to have as wide a stance as we had in warrior and triangle. Bending the front knee. We're drawing the back foot in, kneading in forward fold. Bending the knee, circle sweeping wide. Reaching up, gentle back bend. Really stretching the front line of the body. We're taking care of our low backs here. We don't want to be pushing so far into a curve that there's a crunch. The low back doesn't like crunching any more than the back of the neck. Exhaling, arms sweeping wide. Meeting in forward fold, preparing for our warrior flow on the other side of the body. Left foot back into warrior one. Yogi's choice, practitioner's choice if you want to do a short stance or a deeper stance, whatever feels good with good joint alignment. So the left foot back, again, it's about 45 degrees from the mat, the long line of the mat, or if you don't have a mat, from your hip. We might use the thigh as a support or sweep straight up with strength. Again, that front knee is in alignment right over the front ankle. Arms are reaching, reaching, reaching. Now, in this reaching posture, I'm going to turn to face. You just stay there because we're building some strength too, right? I'll turn to face so you can see the difference. When the back is engaged with those overhead positions, and we feel like we're almost trying to tuck the shoulder blade into a pocket, the muscle's really working right here, right here. Even as my fingers are pulling away, these are pulling down. If we allow this to pop loose and just pull, what happens is the arm starts heading toward the ear, and so does the shoulder. This is not showing love to the shoulder or the trapezius muscle. So, just a quick tip, whenever we're up here, let's try and engage the back muscles around the scapula. Moving into warrior two, stepping back a little deeper, right angle to the long side of the mat, back stroke the back arm, gazing over the front hand, feeling good chest opening, strong over those feet, both heels pressing into the mat. Beautiful, our warrior two. Reverse warrior, the back hand drops toward the back thigh, front arm overhead. Any amount of curve here is fine as long as we're not crunching the front and low back. So we might continue to have fingertip touch or support on the thigh, or if we're wishing more intensity and the core is up for it, maybe tucking the hand. Whichever amount of curve we're taking, we're reaching through the top of the spine. And now moving into triangle pose, straightening the front leg. If we opted to wrap the arm, unwinding it, reaching, reaching, reaching. Reaching, reaching, reaching with that front hand, wheeling down toward the front ankle. The back hand comes up, and now we again have that nice long line from fingertips to fingertips. Pushing into both feet. Moving into pyramid pose, high hand low. Spinning on that back heel, so both sets of toes are facing forward. Pyramid pose, allowing the head to drop. We might have to support on the thigh here, if that feels better today, if we're not having any yoga blocks. Or if we're looser in the hamstrings, it would look more like this. Everybody's a little bit different, and it's all okay. It might feel better to short up that pyramid a little bit. Short stance pyramid might feel good. Or a fully supported pyramid, having a long spine right over that front thigh. Whatever works today. Bending the front knee, drawing the back foot in, meeting in forward fold. Bending the knees, sweeping the arms wide, gentle back bend, meeting in mountain. You stay where you are. I'm stepping out to the long side of the mat so you can see me. We're moving into some squat and straddle movements, working on the hips, quadriceps, hamstrings. So from here, I'll be sitting back into a wide stance squat. It's okay to support here on the thigh, or if you're really feeling the strength of our legs this morning, perhaps hands will be at heart center. Breathing into it. Feeling those legs at work. All the blood's warmed up, flowing through them. Releasing to a standing straddle. We're straightening the legs as much as we can without locking the knees, allowing the head to drop forward. And now the head is dangling between the legs. We can add to the traction effect of this stretch by clasping the right hand over the left elbow, the left hand over the right elbow, sort of genie arms, continuing to allow the head to dangle, and now swaying the upper body between those legs. If the backs of the legs are feeling super tight, we might bend the knees just a little to allow this motion. Releasing the genie arms. Legs as straight as is comfortable, maybe bending a little, taking the right hand, putting it on the ground, right under the face. The free hand reaches out to the side in a T. The arm is going to stay in this position, moving from the ribs. Now the arm is going to be facing the ceiling. Gently gazing out, a little side eye here, taking care of the neck. High hand low, switching sides. One hand under the face, the other out in a T, moving from the ribs. Some rotational movement here that will also feel deep in the hamstrings, maybe up into the hips and the glutes. High hand low. Bending the knees, walking those feet together. Meeting in a forward fold. Circle sweeping wide, coming back up. Gentle back bend. Releasing to mountains. Circle sweeping up. Oh, so many circle sweeps, so many forward folds. Waking up the whole body for the long day ahead. Right foot back. Left foot meets it in plank. Exhaling to down dog. We might stay in standard down dog. Or we might test out our strength by raising the right leg high. Any amount off the floor is fine to test out the leg strength. If we opted to raise one leg, we're lowering in and switching sides, or we're just hanging out in standard down dog. Stretching and strengthening. If we opted to raise the left leg, we're lowering in. Knees to the mat, meeting in all fours. Flattening the feet, dropping the hips back, moving through child's pose really briefly, dropping the hips toward the left side to allow ourselves to come into a seated posture, swinging those legs around, adjusting our yoga britches or sweatpants or jammies, whatever we opted for today. I hope it's not jeans. It will not feel as good if we're in clothes with zippers and buttons. Now we're taking the right leg, drawing the foot into the inner thigh, allowing that knee to drop open, creating a kind of figure four here, turning the sternum, the heart center, to face the toes of the extended legs, hands gliding down the extended leg. Reaching toward that foot. This toe, all the toes, dorsiflexing toward the shin, pushing away through that heel adds to the stretch on the back of the leg. If we want to add a little extra stretch for this hip, the same side hand, the right hand is going to reach toward the outside of that ankle. And we're allowing the head to drop beside that upper arm. Releasing the stretch, coming back up. We're switching sides. Unfolding the right leg, extending it, drawing in the left. And sliding those hands down the leg. Reaching the heart center toward that dorsiflexed foot. When we're in these forward folding postures at any time, whether we're just stretching after a run or practicing our yoga, we want a long spine. And the go-to for many people is to reach with the head. We're big-brained creatures who want our heads to do everything. But when we do that, we end up with a quasimodo look. I'll try and do it now. So if I reach with my head to try and get it closer to the mat, all of a sudden my back is in this huge kind of speed bump shape. Whereas what we're desiring for a healthy spine is a long shape. More important to keep that long shape than to get the head closer to the knee. Continuing to draw the toes toward the shin. And coming back up. Releasing. Stretching that out. We're meeting in staff pose, which is the basic seated pose in yoga. Our sits bones, we mentioned earlier, these little pointy bones in the pelvis. We might have to move around and jump in the trunk. Whenever we're in our seated postures, they should be straight down. Not tilted back, not tilted forward. That's also good practice when you're seated in a real chair. Because when we drop back, really, or flop forward, we're really burdening our low back. So it's a good habit. Exhaling, because we're crunching the stomach, sliding the hands down, moving into a seated version of the forward fold. All this really gets the backs of the legs. Reaching again with the heart center in order to keep the spine long. Exhaling and coming back up. Beautiful. Now we're drawing in the right foot beside the left knee. So now we're creating a kind of triangle shape with this leg. Reaching forward with the opposite side hand, left hand, Twisting from the rib, and now wrapping the hand around the knee, turning to gaze over the right shoulder. Very intense hip stretch. Really great spinal rotation here. Releasing and unwinding. We let go, let go. And now we're attempting to move from the ribs first and shoulders following. Same side shoulder inside the upward knee, turning to gaze over the left shoulder. We might be pressing the upper arm against the bent knee. That adds an extra stretch up here. We might raise that hand up. Releasing the pressure of that upper arm against the knee. Straightening it out. Give a little shaky, shaky. And now we're drawing the left knee up. Reaching forward with the right hand, moving from the ribs, wrapping around the bent knee, twisting to gaze. The extended leg is still active. We're still pushing through the heel. Nothing goes to sleep in this pose. It is a full body experience. Releasing, unwinding. Now taking the left shoulder inside the left knee, twisting to gaze the opposite way, noticing if one side of the body is perhaps tighter than the other. Just noticing we're moving toward evenness, because evenness of flexibility and range of motion allows us to avoid accident, injury, and strain. Perhaps we're raising that hand high. I hope you're having fun. Releasing the pressure of the upper arm from the bent knee, we're unwinding. Straightening that leg out, give a little shaky, shaky to release, and exhaling once more into our seated forward fold. We may find that after opening up the hips a bit with those postures, that it's become a little easier to fold forward. There's always some softness in the knees here. Even if we have great hamstring flexibility, locking the knees, flattening them down is never a great idea for that joint. Inhaling up. Now we're coming to a couple of reclining postures before we do a couple of moments of meditative breathing and then some questions. So, a few ways to get down. If we're still feeling tight or we're taking care of our low backs, we'd come down sideways. Really supporting ourselves and showing the spine a little love, and then end up on the back. If we're focusing more on strength, we might bring the knees up and roll down, either supporting on the thighs or hands free if you're really challenging the core. One vertebrae at a time. However we get here, we get here. It's all good. And now bringing the knees in for a knee to chest hook, our basic reclining rest pose. We might rock a little from side to side here. Giving the low back a massage against the floor. Releasing our knee to chest hug. Feet are dropping down quite close to the buttocks so that the ankle joints end up right under the knee joints. This is a constant refrain in yoga, stacking those joints. Palms down on the mat or the floor, beside the hips, pressing the palms, pressing the tricep, the back of the upper arm, keeping the shoulder blades pinned to the floor, being mindful of protecting our neck, lifting the hips up into bridge pose. Bridge pose is a core strengthener and stretches the hip flexors. These muscles that wrap here. Hip flexors get very compromised when we have to sit a lot, and most of us do, at least in our day jobs, right? It's pretty rare that people spend their days standing and moving in most occupations. So as we lift, we're also squeezing the glutes here, because these muscles are in opposition. The body has this wonderful design where if one side is really tight, the other side is going to relax a little bit more. So we can work that to our advantage by doing a squeeze on purpose. And that releases the hip flexors a little bit more. Starting at the top of the spine, we're slowly lowering. Vertebrae by vertebrae, if we can. And once the tailbone is all the way on the floor, releasing to a knee to chest hug. A little rocking from side to side once more. Then we have the option of either lying down for a little bit of breathing practice. This is called Shavasana in yoga, funnel relaxation pose. If we're wanting to practice that way, we stretch out the legs, allow the feet to drop open, arms gently relax by the side. If the palms are up, that opens up the shoulders a little bit more, but we do what's comfortable here. And in fact, for some people, it's really just they can't relax here and need to lie on their sides, which is also fine, or even come up to seated if that's working for you today. I'm going to walk you through a little bit of guided breathing practice. So we're going to inhale through the nose if we can, allow the air to escape through softly parted lips. Just noticing if the inhale or the exhale is naturally longer. And then we're moving toward equal ratio breathing. So the inhale and the exhale are the same length. So if the inhale is a 2, the exhale becomes a 2, or 3 and 3. Any number is fine, but equal ratio breathing is a really good introduction to meditative breathing that you can practice anytime, anywhere. If you're in any tense situation, you can always send your mind to your breath, slowing it down, controlling it, and the whole body will tend to begin to relax and the mind will calm down. So I hope this has been a good, energizing practice for you today. It's been my pleasure and my privilege to practice with you. It's been fantastic. I will close with a classic yoga closing. Namaste. Roughly translates as the light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. I hope you have a wonderful conference, a special place in my heart for music and musicians. And now I believe we're going to open it up to a few questions. If you had any questions about the practice or anything specifically you'd like to know about stretching, I'm happy to answer.
Yes, thank you. This is Kevin Taylor. Just want to thank you so much for helping us get our minds and bodies in a place to do this long conference we have today. And as like she said, we'll be opening the floor for questions. If you want to, if you do want to answer a question, you can click on the participants tab or the participants link at the bottom, and it should give you a place there to raise your hand, and we'll unmute you, and you can ask your question.
Don't be shy. This is your chance. Free advice. Who doesn't love that?
Just wanted to say thank you. That was a very wonderful way to start our time together. This is
you're welcome.
James from Minneapolis, currently in Wisconsin.
Hi, James. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, then. If there are no questions, then again, we thank you very much for donating. And just to know, she did donate her time for us today, and that means a lot to us. So thank you very much, and have a great day. And everyone else, we'll see you in about an hour.
Thank you very much. Have fun, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.